Hello, I'm Frank McClain, Executive and Artistic Director here at the Grand Opera House, and welcome to with Frank. This is my weekly opportunity in a lighthearted way to let you know everything that's happening here at the Grand. Now, if you've ever been to a Grand production, you know that I typically give a curtain speech before each performance. And the title of our program takes its name from the merciless teasing I get from the technical crew for the amount of times I say or ah. They actually count them. So we've decided to have a little fun with this, and we've scheduled this live stream to go out during happy hour. So if you're of age and in a secure location, I encourage you to get a beverage, alcoholic preferably, and every time I say or ah, I just said two of them, 2 sips, take a drink. Now, you can watch a recorded version of this at any time, so you can drink anything you like at those times, and remember, it's always 5 o'clock somewhere. Today, I'm drinking delicious expired Bud Light, one of the many offerings we serve here at the Grand during our performances by the Rotary Club of Dubuque. Now, it's expired because when the theater shut down in March due to the pandemic, we were left with a large stock of beer, and I hate for that to go to waste. It's not skunky, it's really delicious. It expired a few months ago, but that's really a best buy date. You know, I don't ever really trust those, so I'm just gonna say Before we get started, I'd like to thank all the people that helped make this possible. Michelle Blanchard, our box office manager and marketing director, whose idea this program was, and who forces me to do it every week. Tracy Richardson, our technical director, who sets up all the technical stuff and does all that. Austin McElroy is our man for all things streaming. We so appreciate Austin. And our wonderful cameraman, Stephen Dobyhall. Now, if you're a regular viewer, you know that we've been trying to find a girlfriend for Stephen. Stephen is one of our most dedicated volunteers, and if he's not at his day job, he's probably here, or sleeping, or eating pizza. So, we want to thank all of the lovely ladies who have expressed an interest in dating Stephen after we announced this at one of our previous segments. However, I should have included at that time that anyone applying should also have a deep interest in theater and be willing to volunteer along with Stephen, that is, if you ever want to see him. You see, you're going to be spending a lot of time here at the Grand, at least that's what we hope. The last thing we want to do is set Stephen up on some whirlwind romance that will ultimately end in heartbreak, because he will need to choose between the love of his life and spending so much time at the Grand. And ultimately, we know Stephen will choose the Grand. So if you're still interested in dating Stephen and volunteering at the Grand, or even just volunteering at the Grand and not dating Stephen, please contact me at director@thegrandoperahouse.com. Well, because I don't like to admit to drinking alone, each week I have a special guest here on with Frank. And today it is the lovely and talented Kristin. Look where? Look, Kristin, look, that's your last name. Isn't that clever? Kristin, welcome to with Frank. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking Stonecliff White Zinfandel.
And is it delicious?
It's delicious.
Well, I hope so. We had a lovely Chardonnay for Kristin before the program, but she drank the whole bottle, and we had to dig this one out of the wine cooler, so I'm glad she's enjoying it. Kristin, let's start out with a little background. I'm going to finally let you talk. Where are you from? What got you into theater, and what brought you to Dubuque? Go!
Okay, I grew up in
You said,
Oh, no.
That's what it's all about.
Right? Might need a second bottle. I grew up in St. Louis, then Iowa City. Then I went to college at Central College in Pella, Iowa. And that's where I started doing theater. I had never done theater before. In my freshman year, I just decided to audition for a show, and I got in. And then ever since...
What was that show?
It was a...
Good catch.
It was actually a student-directed one-act called Afternoon of the Elves. And I played a 5th grader who was a mean girl.
Wow. So kind of typecasting? Just kidding.
Thanks, Frank.
Wait, we didn't say you don't have. Oh, now I did.
So then after that, I was in 7 shows in college. Then right after college, I moved to Dubuque. And the year I moved here, I got involved at the Grand.
So what brought you to Dubuque? Was it a job, or you just always heard about lovely Dubuque and wanted to come?
Yep, I graduated from college. I got a job, and my brother was actually living here. So I realized I'd be able to still live in Iowa, but be in town with family. So he lives in Seattle now. I'm the only one left in Iowa.
Be in town with family.
So he's in Seattle. The rest of my family's in Missouri. So I'm the only one still in Iowa.
See, I learned a lot about you. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And it's a different story. Lots of people, don't get it. I think it's a true message to everyone that you don't have to be in theater as a child to still get into it. So you didn't start till college. That's great.
Yep. I did dance
terrific.
and then theater.
Wonderful. Well, here at with Frank, we like to break up these interviews with what I call shameless plugs. These parts of the program are actually much more important than Kristin. Sorry, you're really just a prop to help us promote our upcoming productions and raise money. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Good, fantastic. So now it's time for Shameless Plugs. The Grand Opera House is a 501c3 organization, and now, more than ever, we need your support. Please consider donating to the Grand. You can make a one-time or reoccurring donation by visiting the Grand's website, www.thegrandoperahouse.com. Kristin, now I think you may already know this, but I'm going to talk about me for a minute. But I grew up in Dubuque, unlike you, and then I moved away. I was gone for actually 32 years. I came back and visited, of course, but I didn't live here for 32 years. And then in May of 2015, I moved back here to work here at the Grand and to be close to my family. And the very first show that was presented at the Grand after I arrived was Monty Python's Spamalot, and you were a member of that cast. So tell us a little bit about Spamalot. Tell us what you thought of the experience, and then I'll tell you what I thought.
Oh, no. I was in Spamalot. I was in the ensemble. I auditioned and met some really great people, and actually some of my closest friends now were in Spamalot with me. So it's actually one of my greatest memories at the Grand.
That's one of the wonderful things about theater in general, community theater, everything. It's the people you meet. You meet lifelong friends. You meet folks. Sometimes they come into your life and you become like a family for a while, and then you drift apart. But it is wonderful, and I'm glad. Well, you're obviously one of the ones that stuck around. So
yes,
thanks for doing that. Austin, can you go ahead and put up that first photo of Spamalot? So here, you said we're on the ensemble. So this is pretty much a whole cast shot there. So where are you here?
I am on top of the castle, second from the left.
Okay, on the blue dress with the sassy...
I think it was actually a black dress, but it does look blue in the picture.
Okay. But you've got sort of sassy arms on hips.
Yeah, I think this was during the casino number.
Ooh, a lot of dancing in this show, right?
Yes,
and
there was.
And you said you were a dancer.
Yes.
Tell me about your dance training and how you got that and what all you do. Because I know you're somebody we always rely on, especially on tap things. And
yeah, I started dance really young. I think I was 3.
Good catch.
Yeah, I took dance lessons for a really long time. Then in high school, I made the varsity dance team as a freshman, so I did that for 4 years. And then I was also on the dance team in college, just my freshman year, though, because I got into theater, and I couldn't really do both. So
You're better at this game than I am. Thanks. Why don't you go ahead and fill yourself up there?
Get some more.
Well, I get one out of our refrigerated plant, just for safekeeping. I'm not quite ready yet, but you go ahead. Finish.
So I did ballet. Oh, my gosh.
Tap. I know you did tap.
I did ballet, tap, jazz. I was trained in classical ballet. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. I think what I enjoy a lot about theater, though, is I'm able to both dance and do other things, which is kind of cool. I was actually really, really nervous, though, when I first started being in shows because I wasn't used to talking or singing. So I was used to dancing, but not doing that. So I actually used to throw up before every performance.
Oh, my.
My entire first year of college. But I still enjoyed it so much, I kept doing it, and I got over it, I think, by my sophomore year. But
I'm sort of the opposite experience. I wish I had taken dance as a kid because I always, it's so much harder to learn when you're an adult and when you find out, oh, I want to be a performer, and then you feel like you're really more of a lumbering Sasquatch than a dancer.
See, and conversely, I
That's
wish
what
I
I
had
do.
taken voice lessons as a kid because I started doing theater and realized, well, singing is kind of important for that. So I started taking voice lessons 3 years ago, but I wish I had taken them as a kid. I think it would have helped me a lot.
Well, I think you're amazing. But let's stop talking about that because what time is it?
Is it shameless plug time?
Yes, it's time for Shameless Plugs. This Friday, October 30th, is the final popcorn sales in front of the Grand Opera House. If you've been missing your intermission popcorn from the Grand's concession stand, well, pine no more for that fluffy, salty goodness. We have you covered. From 4 to 7, you can get a box of freshly made popcorn in front of the Grand Opera House. And from 5 to 7, you also get to meet one of our local celebrity performers. This week, it's Dan Haggerty. If you've been coming to Grand shows, you've seen Dan in many fantastic roles, most recently as the rock star Stacey Jacks in Rock of Ages. So come on down to the Grand tomorrow and stock up on your popcorn. It's going to be a long winter. Kristin, just wanted to finish that one off. Now, I have to confess, I got here in May of 2015. Spamalot happened in June, and then my back went out. It was terrible. I was totally laid out. I was on some really heavy medications. I missed the second weekend. It was so disappointing. They must have thought, oh, great, we brought this guy in, and already he's out. But I did get better. But I think because of those meds, I don't have any clear memories of you specifically or socializing with you during Spamalot. So I'm sorry about that. But I'm glad you made a lot of friends, even though I wasn't one of them, for Spamalot. But I do have very clear memories of you later that summer in our 125th anniversary celebration. You were a featured performer in a couple different numbers. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that was a good time. We did Cell Block Tango. I know there were a couple of us girls that did that. That was really fun.
Kristin's trying to get me drunk.
You're already on your second, right?
Yeah.
So, and then I was also in Make 'Em Laugh. It was partially a tap, partially a couple of other different things.
I
but it was
remember
really
that
fun.
number. It was sort of, it's meant to be a free-for-all, but Doug Mackey choreographed
He
it,
did.
and there was sword fighting and tumbling
were
and
pies
rolling around and
and-
all over. But I really loved Cell Block Tango. I thought that was fantastic. It was the first time I think I had got to see so many of the women that perform here regular really do something great. Who were you in it? Which of the ladies were you?
I really should know this.
Yeah, you really should.
Think I was the second one, so Pop 6.
Pop 6. Yeah, whatever. Okay.
Yes.
But it was
That
a
sounds
really
right.
fun number. And I think Doug also choreographed that, right? Or he was the guy
he?
that you kept, I remember in the choreography.
He was the one
he's-
we kept killing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, but it was more, I recall that was such a great show because we had 5 or 6 choreographers, a whole bunch of, and everybody put their
There's a lot
numbers
going
together on their own. And I think you guys all did that pretty collaboratively,
Yeah.
which was really fun to watch and put it together. And that show, well, do I drink on well? Let's drink for wells.
Do we really need to add some, Frank?
We were raising money for the sound system here, and we blew through our expectations. We raised about $50,000 for the sound system, plus we raised enough money to buy 23 of these lovely wireless headset microphones. So they were, it was a great production on many levels. Now, I know this can be a touchy subject especially with Tracy monitoring us here, but I'm going to ask you, we're very protective of these now. Have you ever broke a microphone?
No.
No! I think that's not what I've heard, but we're going to have to go with that. And fortunately,
Not that I know of.
Tracy is not allowed to speak during this, so you get the last
I have
word.
never broken a microphone.
Good for you. Cheers. It's time for Shameless Plugs. Unfortunately, the pandemic has forced us to cancel our annual Halloween event, Terror at the Grand. But the absence of that event is allowing us to present something we've always wanted to do. Tomorrow night, Friday, October 30th, and Saturday, Halloween, October 31st, and there's going to be a full moon, and the clock rolls back. At 7 p.m. and midnight, the Grand will be showing the cult classic, The Rocky Horror Picture Show. So let's all do the time warp again with Brad and Janet and Dr. Frankenfurter and the rest of the Transylvanian gang on the big screen here at the Grand. We're actually right now sitting on the set of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Well, not really. I think the screen will be down front, but basically this is what you'll see. It's going to be so much fun. There are only 4 screenings, and we do socially distanced seating, so please make reservations now. It's only $10. We encourage the wearing of costumes, and we will be selling goodie bags that have all of the wonderful props that you do to make the show interactive. So we're going to be selling those, and the amazing Matthew Carpenter is going to be our host and MC, and before the show, he's going to go through the goodie bag and show you what you do with each prop and what you're supposed to say at what time for all the virgins in the audience. We call the people in the audience that have never seen the show before virgins. I think that's how the lingo works. But in any case, come up to the lab and see what's on the slab. I can see you shiver with anticipation. I realized I didn't say there. Oh, I did there, though. But that's a little bit from the show. The Rocky Horror Picture Show at the Grand Opera House this weekend. Reserve now. Kristin, I want to circle back. I know before Spam-A-Lot, you had done other shows here. So what were the shows you did before that? I don't want to skip over those.
2013, I was in Christmas Carol. That was my first show here. And 2014, I was in Oliver.
Great. And what did you do in those shows?
Christmas Carol, I played a couple of roles. I was Lady at Party.
Lady at Party, that's lovely.
And I was also one of the nuns that asked for the charitable donations at the beginning and end.
And then in Oliver?
I was ensemble.
Great. Did you get to dance?
I did. Lots of dancing.
Lots of dancing in Oliver. Well, I'm sorry, I don't have any photos of those shows because I really don't care what happened before I got here. That's not true. I'm only joking. I care very deeply. I'm actually very proud of the Grand's whole history. We began as a vaudeville house in 1890, but between then and 1928, an opera house, and then showed movies. And since 1986, it's been a community theater. And you know, we trace our history as a performing organization back to, have you heard this? To the Barn Community Theater in 1971. So actually in 2021, we'll be celebrating our 50th anniversary. Do you have any special memories of just the Grand in general that have nothing to do with shows, maybe about the histories? Have you ever seen any ghosts here?
I haven't seen any ghosts.
Now, we did talk a little bit about Terror at the Grand. You've done that a couple times.
I have. I've done it every time. I really like doing the light fright. And then
the light fright is when the little kids, and we don't try to jump scare them. It's more like trick-or-treating. So I like the scary part.
Yeah. So I've done that every year. I think I've done almost every light fright. I haven't done all the full frights because I work. So
but
sometimes
it is a huge task, you know, and I know everyone misses it, and we hope to have it back next year and all of that. But really, we're going to have fun at Rocky Horror, so show up. Are you coming to Rocky Horror?
I hope so.
I'm going to take that as a yes.
I very much want to.
I'm going to take that as yes. Do you know what time it is?
Is it another Shameless Plug?
It's time for Shameless Plugs. With Frank and 135 Live. 135 Live are weekly concerts on Fridays here on the Grand Stage, where we invite local musicians and performers to give a 60 to 90-minute performance with the support of our production team. Performances have a small, socially distanced live audience and are live streamed virtually to a much wider audience through our streaming options. On Friday, October 6th, we will be showcasing the musical stylings of Kathy Goodman and Marcus DeJesus, who make up the duo Blue Flame. That's blue, it's spelled B-L-U. There's not an E. I'm going to have to ask Kathy about that, why there's no E. 135 Live concerts begin at 7:30, and the live stream goes active at that time. But the live stream is also available till the following Monday. So you always have a chance to watch it later that weekend if you didn't watch it live. So no reason to miss a 135 Live. For tickets or to be part of the live audience or to get the live stream, visit our Grand On Demand page on our website, www.thegrandoperahouse.com. Grand On Demand features all of what's upcoming, plus it also archives what we've passed on. So you could spend hours on the Grand On Demand page watching past things we've done or looking at new things we'll do. And then on the 5th, just the day before that, Kathy is going to be my next guest next week on with Frank. I said it. Now, Kathy and I go way back to when I had hair. We were actually in high school, and we're in high school together at the same time. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And then I moved away, and Kathy stayed here, and she's done a ton of shows at the Grand. I think her last show was Drowsy Chaperone that she did here, but in the 90s and 2000s, she did a lot. So I'm going to have a lot of fun hearing about stories that I've probably never heard and really reconnecting with Kathy. Don't miss a very special edition of with Frank next week, featuring Kathy Goodman. So, following Spamalot, and I think this is the last time I'm going to mention the word Spamalot, the next show at the Grand, you played a role that I think you were born to play. I loved it. You were fantastic. Tell us what that was and what you remember about it.
I played Lucy in Charlie Brown Christmas. I don't remember a lot about it.
Were you
actually drunk? No. I was in a car accident.
Oh, that's right.
After I was cast, but before anything else, and they had to pull me out of a few scenes because I was so injured. But I was on pain pills the entire time.
Well, you gave a brilliant performance regardless.
Thank you.
Those pain pills worked.
I was home a lot, so...
Do you still have any?
No.
Oh, that's a shame.
I was home a lot, so I watched the video version, which is close. So I was able to memorize my lines well enough that I could say them even.
Well, I think we're probably looking at the picture of you as Lucy right now. So here, look at that. I love this. Now, this is definitely a blue dress.
Yes.
But you are... look quite stern there, and you're probably, who's that you're talking to? Linus, your brother, and I cannot imagine someone being a better Lucy. I thought you were just terrific. That was such a fun show, and it was a special show for me because it was the first show here that I worked crew on. I was part of the fly crew, and I remember that I told Tracy, treat me just like everybody else, which he had no problem doing. Yelling at me. My very first cue, I was supposed to bring the Christmas trees or something out. I was supposed to take something out, and instead of taking, and you're wearing headsets.
I remember this, actually.
Yeah, I was wearing a headset, and instead of taking it out, I brought it in, so it just started crashing down. I just remember people yelling, no, out! It was,
dang it, Frank!
It is very stressful. It is very stressful, and they did not hold back. Nope. So I got a lot of merciless teasing about that, too. But working crew is hard.
It is.
I find it more stressful than being on stage.
I say that often.
Once you get on stage, it's like, okay, you're on there. But crew, it's tough. So, and I know you've done a lot of crew. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I haven't done a ton, but I've done it a few times. I do find it more stressful.
More than a few? We've done quite a few things here.
Maybe 6 or 7 shows. I actually,
I appreciate it, actually.
I've only done deck once because it was so stressful for me,
Now
and I was
explain what
so
deck
bad at
is.
it.
To our viewers out there, explain what deck means.
So deck is when you're backstage, so you change scenes, you hold curtains.
Yeah, you're working up here.
Yeah. So sometimes the actors do it, but also there's sometimes crew that are dedicated to helping change scenes,
And
doing
what are some
anything
of the
that
other
needs to be done.
crew jobs that you've done?
Yeah, so I've done spots probably more than anything else. I've done lights.
Spots, for the lay people out there, are the spotlights.
Yes, so you're
the
up in the
spotlight
spot booth.
operator.
Yes, so you're up in the spot booth, spotlighting the show.
I've done spots
Spotlighting.
twice. I found it incredibly stressful. You really get yelled at if you do the spots wrong.
I enjoy it, but yeah,
Did
it
you
is
get yelled at
stressful.
for-
I have. I find it less stressful than some other jobs.
Now, I thought, though, that you're the reason we had to get the special something.
Yeah, during I Love Your Perfect Now Change, that was the first show that I was on spots for, and we got scopes. So a scope is where you have a light so that you can see where you're going to spotlight, and we didn't used to have those, but we got them in the middle of that run, and it's because I was so bad at it that Tracy determined we needed them now. In my defense, that was a difficult show to spot.
Yeah, it probably was.
There
And
was a
I appreciate that we
tango.
got, because by the time I ran spots, we had the scope. And I still did a terrible job.
It
So
can be
I
hard.
can't imagine doing it without, I remember it's like I was doing Nutcracker or something. and it's like-
Nutcracker.
You're just like, no, get off the wall, get off the wall. Or then they yell, it's like, I did the color wrong one time. It's like, you're on the wrong color. And it's like, no, don't change it now. It's very stressful.
I like it because at least I can write notes to myself. I can have a list. I can
You're up
keep it
there in
organized.
a little room all by yourself and you're wearing the headsets.
Yeah.
What's it like being on? I love being on the headset.
I
like
like being on headset too. It's fun.
because you get to talk to everybody. And
Usually I seem to be up there with Bridget, so I like hanging out with Bridget up there. But yeah, it's fun.
it's fun and stressful, but it's an integral part of the show. And
It
we
is.
always appreciate our the members of our grand family that do it all. That it's not just about performing on stage. They help out backstage.
Mm-hmm.
They do crew. They help build things. You show up for terror at the Grand. So here's to you, Kristin. Thanks.
Thanks, Frank.
It's time for Shameless Plugs. The Grand Opera House will present KGOH, The Voice of the Grand, presents Christmas Treasures, a radio play directed and adapted for the stage by Doug Donald. Performances on November 27th, 28th, and 29th. And I'm reading. Set in the 1940s in a radio station, actors create the sound effects and do all the voices and bring 3 classic Christmas stories to life: Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, A Child's Christmas in Wales, and A Christmas Carol. The cast will be comprised of a small number of actors that will voice all of the characters, and 2 special actors dedicated just to sound effects, and a keyboard player who will provide live musical accompaniment and underscoring. The production will be presented with socially distanced live audience and live streamed. For tickets and details on access to the stream or to get tickets, visit the Grand's website, www.thegrandoperahouse.com. Back to you, Kristin. So between the summers of 2016 to 2018, you had a run of 4 big musicals here at the Grand, plus some stuff that you did other places too.
Yes.
So let's just talk about all the shows you did in that time frame.
I know I was in Carousel.
Okay, that's
here.
one. I got them written down, so this is like a quiz.
Oh, goodness.
Yes, that's correct.
What year was Carousel?
2016, summer 2016.
So after that, I was actually in a show at Loris College, the faculty staff show.
Okay.
I played the love interest, so that was new to me. And then after, Shrek and Gypsy was the next summer, right?
Well, Shrek was was Shrek a summer show?
Yes.
I think Shrek was like an off-season show.
Maybe?
I think, but they were probably within the
It
same
was
year.
2017,
Yeah.
though.
Shrek and Gypsy, and then
Pajama Game was
Pajama Game.
2018. Yeah.
right. So those were all great fun shows. Let's take a look at those photos here, and you can tell us what's going on. So
Okay.
the first one is from Carousel.
Yes.
So where are you at here?
Where am I?
You're very prominently featured. You're right behind. That's Megan Gloss playing cousin
I'm
Nettie.
behind Megan Gloss.
And you're
yes.
there, and that's yeah. So you're there, looking like you give great attitude on stage.
Thank you.
You're staring down with attitude. Now, Carousel was the first show I directed here.
Yes.
So it was very special to me. I love Carousel.
I had a good time.
I thought you were. It was a great show.
I think it was a really good sounding show, is what I remembered.
Well,
there was a
such
lot of
classic music.
good
And it's really
singing
good.
and
It was, I think, the biggest orchestra we've had since I've been here, and we had a real harp player.
and the ballet was
it's
in
great.
it,
The
so
ballet
that
was
was
really
fantastic. Yeah, that was a fun show.
So this may not be ordered, but the next picture here is of you in Gypsy. And this was you were fantastic in Gypsy. Tell us who you played and what that's all about.
I played Mazeppa, so the trumpet stripper. And what I remember about this show is I had a decent sized part,
Yeah.
but I was only in 2 scenes. So I wasn't even called until like 7 p.m.
Yeah.
But I had a really good time with it. It was kind of hard. I had to sing, which is still something. I had just started taking voice lessons. So I still was getting comfortable singing solos.
But Mazeppa is more about attitude, and you
Yes.
had that.
I also had to play the trumpet, which I had never done before. I do remember you telling
And
me,
what
though.
do you do with the trumpet?
I strip with it.
You bump it.
Yes.
You bump it with a trumpet.
But I remember you telling me, well, you don't have to play it good. So that made me feel a lot better because I did not play it good.
I think that's part of the gag. You know,
It
if she was a brilliant musician, she'd be in a symphony
Yes.
and not a stripper. So that was fun. And then, okay, the next one, next photo here is of you in Shrek, and there's
Yes.
Jake Tebby as Shrek, and you as
The Wicked Witch.
the Wicked Witch.
So that was part of the fairy tale chorus. I had some lines and some solos, but that was fun too. That's not a role that's in the movie, but it was in the musical with the rest of the fairy tale creatures.
It was great. I love the fairy tale creatures, and
I really liked my costume here. Michelle did that costume. That was a great costume.
The production values on that show were the costumes, the set was great.
Yeah.
John Little, who just competed in
painting.
our Easel Wars, did such fantastic scene painting. Emily Anderson, who was his opponent in Easel Wars, played Pinocchio.
She did.
I really enjoyed
It's a
Shrek.
good one.
It's a really fun musical.
So I was the Wicked Witch, but I was also a rat tap dancer.
Tap
And
dancing rat.
I helped choreograph that too.
That's great.
That was fun.
And then the next photo was of you in the pajama game.
Yes.
And tell you know the history of the pajama game. Can you tell
I
us a little
do.
bit about that?
Yeah, it's based on a book, and the
7.5
author
cents.
is
Richard
from
Bissell.
Yes, and the author is from Dubuque.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not specifically in Dubuque, but people
It
have
should be.
theorized that it is
If
technically
you read
based
the
off
book,
of
it is
Dubuque.
definitely Dubuque.
Yes, there's even like an East Dubuque, right? There's
Yeah, well, they go to Hernandez
Hernandez Hideaway.
There's all the references. It feels like it's in Dubuque.
so I was excited about this show. I played Poopsie,
Poopsie.
which was a fun role. But I got to do a lot of dance in this one too, which I enjoyed.
That's great. I loved all those shows. And Pajama Game had such historical how would I pronounce the word I'm trying to say?
Relevance?
Relevance.
There
Thank
we
you. Because we had some of Richard Bissell's family that are here local, and they came from Colorado and the East Coast to see the production. We hadn't done it in town for about 20 years, so it was really a lot of fun. So we're going to move on now to
Another shameless plug?
another shameless plug. I know there are a lot of them, but we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Monday reviews, not about movies. That's something totally different. This is Kristin's fault. Normally, I'm a little more coherent at this point, but she's been doing a lot of ums.
Have you almost finished your second one, Frank?
Let's not be judgmental here. Monday Review, all day Mondays on Facebook. Each week, the talented performers of the Grand Opera House give a mini concert online, bringing the sounds of music of Broadway to you throughout the day. Each installment has a specific theme for song submissions, and you will not be disappointed by the wonderful tunes they send in. Follow us on Facebook every Monday to see the performances, or visit the Grand On Demand page on our website for links to view past Monday review performances. I'm not sure what next week's theme is. This is an old script, and I didn't update it, so I'm a little bit caught off guard. Have you ever submitted anything for a Monday music review?
I haven't yet.
Well, shame on you.
I want to, but it takes me a while to prepare something like that.
True.
And I'm not taking voice lessons right now because of the pandemic,
Hold
so I have no
on,
help.
Please. In one of Michelle's last emails, it does not have to be a song.
That's
it
true.
could be a dance, it could be a monologue, it could be something, anything related to the theme. So you have no excuses.
I will do one eventually. There's
All
so
right.
many other great ones, though. It's not like you need me.
We need you, Kristin. We need you. Now you're just drinking for the sake of drinking. Nobody even ummed. Well, I did.
I got to catch up with you, Frank.
So you did 7 musicals in a row, if we could go way back to the Oliver through Pajama Game, and then your next 2 grand performances were in plays. What plays were those? You know, you're cheating. Tell me what plays there. It was your life.
Was that 2018? 2018.
Well, these may not necessarily be in order, but you
Are they?
did
I was in Calendar Girls, and I was in A Christmas Carol again.
A Christmas Carol again, but there was
Yes.
something special about this Christmas Carol, wasn't there?
You directed it.
Yes, you got the right answer. Good.
That was fun. I was in it with a lot of my friends. We had a good time. The script
loved
was
it.
great.
She's just saying that because I adapted it. I didn't know how great it was, but I liked it, and I kind of fleshed out that role specifically for who were you? I mean, you did. Everybody did a lot of stuff. You were one of the narrators, but you also
I
played
was. I played Fred's wife's sister.
Fred's wife's sister. That's you didn't have a name.
When I put that on a resume, it looks like I made it up, by the way,
no,
Frank.
but that's who you. Fred's wife's sister, and that's I.
She's in the book, though.
Right.
It's a real role.
It is,
I had
and they don't give her a
lines.
name in the book, or I would have given you a name.
It's just Fred's wife's sister.
And they try to set her up at the party. So there were a lot of fun little things in there.
It was
You got
fun.
to do I think probably maybe some of the only choreography I've ever done. Remember me teaching that little dance you did at the party? At the
Oh,
Fezzy
yeah.
Wigs?
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, it actually turned out okay. I was horrified. I was like, I didn't have a choreography.
It was good. It was good.
Thank you. From
yeah.
a dancer, I really appreciate that. And then Calendar Girls. Who did you play in
Yes.
Calendar Girls?
I played, what was her name? Brenda?
Brenda Halsey?
Yes. I was just in one scene. It was at the very beginning. I gave a speech on broccoli.
And you were kind of snooty and all that, but that was a great.
It was
show.
fun. My
I know we have a
favorite
couple
part-
photos. Let's make sure if they're not up already.
Okay.
Let's look at the Calendar Girls.
Calendar
photos.
Girls. My
this
favorite.
is you as Brenda Halsey giving
Yes.
your presentation.
My presentation on broccoli. What I enjoyed about that role is Emily Anderson did props. And she wrote me cards for what I was saying, but she put jokes on it. So I always had to not laugh at her cat pictures and whatever else she put on those cards. But that was a fun show. I was only in the first scene.
and you didn't have to take your clothes off.
No. One of the rare shows I didn't.
Oh. Well, I guess you're right. You were a stripper in Gypsy.
But yeah, I was just in that scene, and then I actually helped with costume changes the rest of the time. The women in the Calendar Girls had a ton of costume changes, so I was asked to help them costume change, and
So you did a little bit of both. You were
Yeah.
a performer and crew.
yeah, I actually probably did more crew than I was on stage.
Okay, and let's move on to the next photo is of Christmas Carol, and here
Mm-hmm.
you are as
Fred's wife's sister.
Fred's wife's sister talking to, I think that's Robert Armstrong as
Yes.
Scrooge.
He was such a great Scrooge.
And that was, I really enjoyed that.
Frank.
Well, let's move on.
All right.
Yeah, I got to figure out where I'm at in my script here. Oh, I know. It's
Shameless plug
time
again?
for Shameless Plugs, yes.
Another?
The Dubuque City Youth Ballet presents The Nutcracker at the Grand Opera House December 10th through 20th. This annual Christmas tradition will look a little different this year. To accommodate socially distanced seating and for the safety of all involved, there will be additional performances and 2 completely separate casts. Join the incredibly talented students as they dance through the journey of the Nutcracker, where we meet Clara, and she meets the Nutcracker, and they have adventures with mice and fairies. It's really, the Nutcracker is always special, and I've been so impressed when I came to Dubuque at the quality of the ballet we have here. So it will be shortened a little bit this year. It'll be an hour and 15 minutes long tops, so that we won't have an intermission, so that we don't get a crowded lobby and no long lines at the restroom. So really at the Grand, we are doing everything in our power to create a safe environment for our performers and for our audience, for our volunteers and our staff. So we really encourage you to come out and see something here live at the Grand if you're comfortable with that. And if you're not, the show will also be live streamed. So you can always sign up to see the live stream, and our live streams for this one, you could watch it in real time as it's happening, or it will be available for 24 hours after each performance. So each performance will be live streamed. There'll be 2 separate casts. So rather than the normal schedule, which is Saturday, Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it'll be a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for one cast, and then a second cast happening right after. So a lot of busy stuff happening there. Well, so after those 2 plays, I'm finished that shameless plug. After those 2 plays, you got back to singing and dancing.
Yes.
And you were in certainly one of the biggest shows that we've done here at the Grand in my time here, and that was
Mary Poppins.
We like to say Disney's Mary Poppins.
Disney's Mary Poppins.
Yes, and who were you in that?
I was in the ensemble. I did play the Queen Victoria statue.
Yes, Queen Victoria, but anybody who was in this was busy all the time.
Oh yeah, I was either costume changing or on stage or backstage, it seemed, and I was just
let's pull up the first couple photos of this one. So we have you here as Queen Victoria. So you had to obviously get into a lot of makeup for that.
That was hard. That was a lot of makeup, and I had to get it off really quick because I was in the bank scene as Miss Smith, the secretary.
And then it was also very challenging because what did you have to do? Nothing. And you had to stand there.
Pretty much.
Right. So
I think I had one line, and then he danced.
But it's I'm talking
during
about the length of that
see.
scene. You had to.
I see.
You had to
That
be a
was
statue.
hard.
That is challenging.
That was hard.
So it's a long scene before you have to unfreeze and then become part of the number.
After that experience, I'm considering on audition forms putting "will play anything except for a statue" if there's any of those again, because that was difficult. Also, Tracy built this amazing thing that I had to stand on, which I'm sure looked great, but I was pretty much always feeling like I was gonna fall.
But you didn't.
Especially with the heat.
I remember that he put like a little pole up the
he
back.
He did, because I think I complained, and he's very nice.
What,
so
you complained?
I complained because I was about to fall.
Let's rewind there. You said Tracy was very what?
He was very nice
really?
In this case. Well, and maybe it was just, being self-serving, because if I had passed out and fallen off, that would have been a headache for him and a lot of paperwork. So, but he did, he put something that I could hang on to so that I didn't,
Great.
because I think I was up there 10 to 15 minutes, and I had to stay completely still the whole time, and I was in a lot of costume and makeup, and that was hard.
So you changed quick, and then you had to go in. So let's look at this next photo. It's obviously the. Can you say the word?
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Yes.
Can you recall what letters you were?
Oh, goodness.
I know we got little small pictures.
P-E, so I was at the beginning.
Yeah, there you are.
Mandy,
you're standing up.
S-U-P-E.
It looks like you're the third one in.
Yes.
So that was great. Well, this certainly featured your dance abilities, because there's this number, there a lot of numbers, and then my favorite of all was
Step in Time. It was my favorite too. Mary Poppins was stressful and a lot of work, but it was all worth it for that number. Yes. I loved it so much.
Joe Kleinberg tap dancing up the thing going across the
side. Oh, that was so cool.
It really
it was a lot of work though. It was a lot of choreography, and we had to twirl the brooms and do all kinds of things, but it was fun. We had a good time.
Yes. Oh, can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I've lost my place, and I'm going to just try to find it.
Okay. That number was a tap.
Okay, I know where we're at.
So we were able to tap dance, and I say
you can stop talking now.
Okay.
Because
another shameless plug.
Plugs. The Grand Opera House will present our annual Christmas show for the grown-ups. The comedy, The 12 Dates of Christmas by Gina Hoban at 7:30 p.m. on December 23rd, 25th, 26th, and 27th. This one-woman tour de force will star Megan Frankovich and will be directed by Sue Flogel. The story revolves around it's Thanksgiving Day, and the character Mary, played by Megan, discovers that her fiancé is cheating on her when she's watching the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade on TV and sees him kissing another woman. Well, she breaks up with him, and then the show chronicles a year of dates, 12 dates that she goes on between that Christmas and the next. Contains some adult language and some adult themes. I'd call it sort of equivalent to a PG-13 movie, but it will be presented here. Now, if you've been to our adult Christmas shows before, typically the audience all sits on stage and it's really very intimate, but in the interest of COVID and socially distanced seating, we'll be presenting it to more a traditional thing. So people will be able to spread out. Well, you're just chugging away, making fun of me.
I got to catch up with you somehow.
Well, since you're having some more, I just reach into my plant here and get myself another one. I think that's all I got to say about that one, so we can probably move on.
I didn't know about that one. I'm excited now.
So
Megan's
I'm giving
great.
you new information.
Yes.
Great. I think that this is the first time I've done a shameless plug about it. I don't think it's on our website yet. I hope it was okay for me to announce it. I didn't really clear that with Michelle, but it has been cast, and they're going to be starting rehearsals. And one thing we're doing, I'll let our viewers know, just because we're aware of COVID and we're taking all the precautions we can to keep everyone safe. But one of the things we're doing, we're not putting tickets for anything on sale until a month before the production. So Nutcracker tickets are going to go on sale on November 10th because it opens on December 10th. So that's just so that, if things get worse and we have to change our plans. And that's been one of the really challenging things about COVID, many challenging things, is you got to sort of plan for every possible scenario. So for many of our shows, we are doing the either live or hybrid, and we have plans that, if we can't have, or the state or city mandates having us a smaller audience than we can, or already smaller, that we can still do something. Mm-hmm. So we're planning on hanging in there, but safety is our top priority.
I like being able to live stream. I actually rounding third.
Oh, you did?
And watching a grand show at home with my cats was actually really cool.
Did your cats enjoy it?
They did, and so did I.
That's great. Well, thank you. I'm glad. Here, let's cheers. I appreciate that. I hadn't heard from. I actually experienced it both ways too. I saw it obviously in the theater, but I watched a live stream of it too. And that's great. And I'm going to throw this out there to our technical, Tracy and Austin McElroy and Stephen and all the other folks that are making our streaming possible. They just keep getting better and better. The last 135 Live with Cranes and Vultures had a 3-camera shoot. It was fantastic. I know here we have 3 cameras. I'm going to talk to this one and say, hey, thank you very much. There's Stephen out there. Why don't you say something over there?
They're
I
doing
don't know whether
great.
they'll be able to follow you. But I'm very proud of what we're doing here at the Grand, and thank you for saying that. So, as everyone knows, our 2019-2020 season was cut short.
It was.
But you did perform in one of the shows from that season.
I did.
That we were able to produce before the pandemic hit. What was that?
Christmas Story.
A Christmas Story. And who did you play?
I played Miss Shields, the teacher.
That's great. Well, let's look at this picture right away.
Okay.
We got you as Miss Shields here in the classroom. And that's probably, which character do you think?
Oh, what's the girl that Ralph has a crush on?
Yeah.
It was that one.
Well, it's Clara Wagner,
There we go.
but that's not her name. It's not Helen. It's 2 names. Oh, this is terrible. I've directed the show twice.
I was in it. I don't
Yeah,
know either.
whatever. She's telling you a secret. What secret is she telling you?
She's telling me that Flick?
Yeah,
Is that his name?
Flick, yeah.
He has his tongue stuck to the flagpole.
Right. It's great. So it's so much fun in that show. It's a great show. You were wonderful in it.
you.
I really loved it, and
We had a good time.
we did, and we didn't know that, that we were only going to get to perform half of that season. So I'm thrilled that you were able to be part of it, because that means that you have been in at least one production for each of the past 8 seasons. So here's to you,
Since I
Kristin.
moved here.
Yeah,
Thanks,
sometimes more than one, but at least one in every one. So that would have been a tough one. Probably a lot of people, if they're keeping a running track, may have been eliminated because they weren't in a show in that season. But you keep your record going, and we hope that you continue it going. I know there's a great deal of uncertainty out in the world, especially with live entertainment. And we haven't really decided on what we're going to be producing yet in sort of the January through May thing. We're feeling things out, but we took all of our shows from last summer and moved them to next summer. So our intent is to produce Matilda the Musical and Brigadoon, and then Frozen Junior. Obviously, you can't be in Frozen Junior because you're not a junior. But going to put you on the spot. Do either of those other shows attract you or interest you?
Both of them, actually. I was really bummed that they had to be canceled because I really liked both shows. So my plan was to audition for Matilda, but just for certain roles, and then audition, if I didn't get into Matilda, audition for Brigadoon, but for any role.
I know
Because
people have done 2 shows in the summer, but it can be tough.
I've done it before, and I will never do it again. I actually did 3 shows one summer, so never again, 1 show. So, yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, I can't make any guarantees. I certainly hope you audition and
I will.
that you, or who knows what we're going to be doing. Hopefully we get you on stage at some point in this season, this weird season, so that you can keep your streak running, because we love having you being a part of that. So it has been great spending time with you, Kristin, and drinking with you. But before you go, you have to earn your keep, so it's time for you to do a shameless plug.
A shameless plug.
Now, you're supposed to look at the camera, remember?
Yes.
Austin told you.
I can do this. The Grand Opera House is a 501c3 organization, and now more than ever, we need your support. Please consider donating to the Grand. You can make a one-time or reoccurring donation by visiting the Grand's website, www.thegrandoperahouse.com.
Thank you, Kristin. That was lovely. Before you put it down, I'm a director. I've done this. I just
Okay.
want you to do it with a little more feeling.
A little
'cause
more?
I want people to really understand
Okay.
and to really donate.
Do you want a
because
tear?
of what you're
Do you-
saying.
Okay.
If you can, it
Okay.
could be like one of those sad
Okay.
dog commercials that I have to turn away. It's awful. But if it gets some people to give us money, do it.
Okay, I
let's
will.
do it.
I
If you can
will.
cry during this, that's great. I'm watching.
The Grand Opera House is a 501c3 organization, and now, more than ever, we need your support. Please consider donating to the Grand. You can make a one-time or a recurring donation by visiting the Grand's website, www.thegrandoperahouse.com.
I'm tearing up. That was great. What's the sad song they always play under those dog commercials? I can't remember.
I will remember.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
sad, but whatever. So thank you, Kristin. I really appreciate that. So next week on with Frank, remember, we're going to have our special guest, Kathy Goodman, who's going to be talking about shows that I've had no part of. So I'm really looking forward to her telling me some stories that I've probably never heard. And also remember that tomorrow is our final Popcorn Friday with
Dan
Dan
Haggerty.
Haggerty. Do you have any fun Dan Haggerty stories?
Oh, so
Who
many.
doesn't?
Right?
Probably none that you
He's
could say
great.
here, right, though? It's like,
Probably not.
we love Dan.
No.
Dan is fantastic. And what
Yes.
else is this weekend?
Rocky Horror.
The Rocky Horror Picture
Yes,
Show
come see it. It's going to be great.
at 7 at midnight.
Yes.
The fantastic Matthew Carpenter is going to be doing our hosting. So if you've seen Rocky Horror, this is not just watching a movie. This is an experience. And when is the chance that you get to see Rocky Horror? I mean, you can come to any of the performances on Friday or Saturday, but I'm pushing for people to come to the midnight show on Halloween night to see Rocky Horror on Halloween night, the night the clocks turn back with a full moon. So you will actually be doing the time warp.
That's
the time
awesome.
will be warping.
You've almost convinced me, Frank. I think
What
I
do you
need
mean
to go.
almost? I expect to see you here at
Okay.
midnight. 'Cause
I'll be here.
It'll really only be 11.
That's true. That's
It
true.
will really only be 11.
Oh,
So
Rocky
I
Horror
want
is
you to see that.
amazing. It's not done here in Dubuque very often, right?
No,
A showing
I
like
mean,
that?
and like I said, next year we want to have
rare.
Terror at the Grand back, so we're not going to we can't show a movie when we're doing Terror at the Grand. So this may be your only chance to see Rocky Horror in this haunted theater.
It's true.
God knows what's going to happen.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be fantastic. I bought a very special prop today for it.
Oh.
Yeah, so you're gonna. Michelle has it right now, but you're gonna have to see that. It is Rocky Horror is adult, so don't bring like your 5-year-olds out at midnight or at 7. You know,
It's rated R,
Just
right, I think.
be prepared to have a good time, have a good adult time on Halloween. You know, dress up, do a lot of fun stuff. In any case, Kristin, that was 3 of them. Good for you. Stay safe out there and have a spooky weekend. Good night and